Hi, everybody. Welcome to another one in our series of In My Experience interviews, where we look at entrepreneurs in India who have made a success of a brand that they've started within the last 5-10 years. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by the founders of Curators of Clay, an amazing brand. Please have a look at their website, curatorsofclay.com, by Bhairavi and also Rohit, who are the co-founders, not a couple, as they say on their website. But they've got an amazing journey to tell you about and how they've been inspired throughout and truly have become part of the luxury segment. We're also joined, as always, by Shreya Agarwal, our great friend and colleague, who is an expert in luxury brands. So I'm going to continue to interrupt her all the way through as usual, but welcome, Shreya, and please take it away.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you always for such a lovely introduction. And I think I'm very, very excited for today's interview because I've been following them for quite some time. And I think this interview happened after a lot of yes and no's and, the interruptions that we've had. But finally, we've got a chance to do this. So thank you so much, Bhairavi and Rohit, to very gracefully accepting our request and deciding to be part of the series. Curators of Clay, I know about the brand because I've been following you all for quite some time now. Why don't we let our viewers know more about your journey towards creating this fabulous brand?
Okay. So for starters, we essentially are a studio which makes handcrafted pottery. One of the few studios, I think, in the country, if I may say so, where the co-founders are labor, marketing, artisans, everything sort of all in one, purely because we started it because we wanted to make, very beautiful ceramics ourselves. So that was kind of the idea was to start it for the lifestyle it afforded us, and then everything else sort of followed. So that's, we've got a line which we say that we are basically the pursuit of happiness, peace, and beauty, with clay being our medium of choice. And it's actually really true. Like we thought a lot before we sort of made that statement or made that part of what we are. But that's essentially what we do. So we make handcrafted ceramics, functional ceramics, as we like to call them now. Every single thing is handmade and literally made by one of us at the studio. We do have a small team now, a really small team, but that does not sort of stop us from wanting to do pretty much everything ourselves. So it's mildly obsessive, but
Still goes a long way, until unless you're making those beautiful products and a piece of you is there with individual products that you send out. I mean, why not? When you mentioned, right, it's pursuit of happiness that you send it out through clay. And I can truly connect to that because your products actually look like that. You're happy when you see those. Unfortunately, as of now, I haven't seen them in person. Someday I will, for sure. But truly, it's a fabulous brand, and the products that you all are creating it's beautiful.
That's like the best compliment we could get in terms of the fact that it just makes someone happy, because essentially that's it. Yeah. I mean, you use a mug and in the morning you wake up, you choose a Curators of Clay mug because you have 20, and then you'll choose one, and then you'll say, okay, I want this one today, and you'll sit down for a cup of coffee. And if it makes you feel happy for even with those 30 seconds before life sort of intrudes rudely, it's our job.
The brands work is done. Yeah, Bhairavi.
Yeah, no, actually we started, one of the reasons we started was, if you see, our aesthetic is very clear, in terms of it's not very Indian. It's not, it's a nice amalgamation of various influences that Rohit and I have individually had. And something like that wasn't available in India. And we said, we want to make good, beautiful stuff. And its brand is what we would like to use at our houses.
Also, one of the things that we were very clear about was that it's the reason why we say it's not Indian is that we mean that it's not your classic kitsch Indian. because we are not that. I mean, where we grew up, born and brought up in Bombay. I grew up in Pune and then a little bit over the country. But uh, a lot of people, especially, a lot of people will be like, you're not the cliched Indians, but none of us are, right? Like Shreya
Yeah.
has Indians, but
Yes.
Shreya doesn't fit in your
Traditional,
traditional mold of an Indian person in so many ways. I mean, I'm talking about the cliches, of course.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to do that. And we didn't want to be we didn't want to sort of follow the stereotype of, even traditional pottery, because we are not traditional potters. I mean,
It's basically evolving. It's evolving with the time. It's evolving with the consumers, which I think is very essential for today's Indian luxury market. When we talk about having those artisans and craftsmen working on Indian traditional craft, I must say, uh, we would say that needs the modern look to it, or an amalgamation of what you've mentioned, right? The contemporary outlook as well as the Indian aesthetic to cater to today's audience and make it relevant. So I think that is very, very important for any brand in the market today. And that's what's going to take Indian luxury global also, I feel, because the moment you start catering to all these markets, So, Bhairavi and Rohit, you right now you mentioned, right, that mostly whatever you curate, it's either of you worked on it or the team. There's a small team now. And also, this is something that we were discussing about also over a call, Rohit, remember that not everything luxury has to be, a multi-million business, right? It can be a beautiful, small business. It basically does not have to be a scalable business. Let me just put it right that way, right? So can you define more on that? Because I think a lot of times people nowadays are confusing with the concept of creating a luxury business because they feel that it has to at once reach at that level or be at that level to even be called luxury.
No, I think the problem we had was basically one, like you said, of scaling up. When we started Curators of Clay, people asked us questions like, do you want to be the Uber of ceramics? I have no idea what that means, but it seemed like everybody thought that if it's a startup, it has to be tech, because there are no startups apparently.
Right.
So it has to be like technology driven. The second thing which you said, Shreya, was that this thing of scale is something that actually we've struggled with more so in possibly the last 3 years, pandemic notwithstanding, where there's one part of us which obviously wants, to have more people have our work, grow, monetarily grow as well, like, make more profits. But we are very, very clear that we never wanted to run a factory. I mean, if we wanted to run a factory, I don't know, we wouldn't be doing this at all. So we were very clear about the fact that it will always be bespoke, it will always be niche. So the struggle has largely been of how do we then increase our value, if that's a way of putting it. That how do you, because it can't just be your classic, oh, last year a mug used to cost this much, now it costs X amount, adjusted for inflation or prices going up. But that was a problem for us, and honestly it continues to be something that we grapple with or struggle with, because at one level you've got, for instance, when we deal with restaurants, we've got now more restaurants approaching us, more of them seeing what we bring to the table quite literally and wanting us to sort of work with them. And we are literally, I mean, I don't want to use the word handicapped, because it's not so much it's out of choice that we don't, I mean, there's just so much that that a team of 3 or 4 people can do, but we also want to always keep it just that much. We don't really want to set up a massive factory out here making things, because like you said, when a lot of people sort of equate profits to being just really large, or to being really large, and we don't think that's necessarily true. We understand that that's a huge part of.
And I think I'll go back to again, Shreya, she had mentioned initially that our products look happy, that they've been created in a certain way. So even when we are planning to expand, it's very important the kind of people we hire. They need to fit really well. We'll show you the studio. It's in nature. So it's covered, but then there is a lot of nature that just seeps right in. There are lots of animals around, so it's a happy
Yes.
place. And you need to find people who are equally passionate about these things.
In line with the brand.
Work,
Yes.
in line with the brand. And even in terms of work, it's very clear that when you come to work, be in a good spirit, and don't be upset or anything. Then don't create also, because then
Yeah.
it passes down in
It
your
certainly
it
does.
shows,
It
I mean,
shows.
it shows. I think your mental space also shows in your work, especially when you're creating things with hands.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's the product that you are bringing, your energy that you're putting into the product is,
Yeah,
it
it does.
shows, right? If I may put across that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds very profound, but it's actually just.
I
Yeah.
know. I just thought that, yes, it did.
I mean, no. I mean, it
No.
sounds like it either sounds like, oh, what rubbish, but it is actually true. I mean,
It is
That's true.
actually true.
Mm.
So, I know this, that the brand originated also understanding that there is a gap in the market, right, of such contemporary tableware, ceramic products. And also, since the products were highly priced, okay, and obviously you all are collaborating with these high-end restaurants also. So was it a challenge to educate your customers, even, people are coming from um, a taste for certain things, to even justify why are the price so expensive, why are these priced in a certain manner, or even talk about um, ceramics as a tableware, right, in terms of luxury product. So was it a challenge for you all?
the
It is still a
it's still a
challenge.
challenge.
It's
But
still
one
a
of the
challenge.
first things was that the restaurant bit happened purely by default. Okay, there was
By
no by
chance, yeah,
chance.
yeah.
There was. I mean, I'll be really honest. We had no. We really. It's we really didn't weren't confident about the fact that we'd ever be able to cater to restaurants when we started out.
Mm-hmm.
When
Or
we
was it
started,
even a thought?
no,
No, no.
No, no.
Because
Okay.
we thought that probably they wouldn't pick up this price point, because there is no difference in price point between retail customer and restaurant customer.
Right.
customers.
Because everything is handmade. You can't bring your cost down in a in
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Any
Right.
which, and we don't want to. I mean, we totally. I mean, if I've done one plate and if I've done the 50th plate, it's
Mm-hmm.
exactly the same
same
amount of
effort. Yeah.
effort and skill and talent, which is so.
Right.
Yeah, there's a minor economy of scale when it comes to, let's say, firing in the kiln, or or raw material. Instead of buying 10 kilos, you're buying 100 kilos. There's a minor sort of
Mm-hmm.
benefit. But in terms of the
Yeah.
the time and effort and skill that is put into each particular product, that's not changing at all. So we weren't able to afford, give them any economy of scale.
Right.
So honestly, we didn't think that restaurants would one feel that this is worth their money. Quite honestly, because
Hmm.
I think there's obviously, that's a business. There's
Yeah.
input, output, whatever. There's one of that, and we also thought that for a lot of them, the kind of stuff that we were making, they might buy it for their homes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
might not be something that they buy to put on the table at the restaurant.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
That I have to say, we were genuinely pleasantly surprised, and uh, I mean, we are very grateful to all our
Yeah.
restaurant clients, because they really have indulged us. I mean, we understand that it's
Yeah.
an indulgence, and we're just glad that they continue to continue
Yeah.
to indulge us. So that's one. On the education bit, 100%. Like
It's
no, it sounds. The thing is that every time we say this, we both check each other, because we don't want to sound uh, condescending, patronizing, annoying, arrogant. Any of those adjectives, because but there is a huge lack of. I don't think there's a lack of understanding. I do think that there's a lack of awareness of what goes into a handcrafted piece of anything
right.
in our country. One of the reasons being that I mean, and we've said this so many times in so many different
We've
things that we've
shortchanged.
shortchanged all
Yeah.
our craftspeople. Yeah, we've really sold our craft shoddily. We've not given them, and I don't say this from any sort of like, it's not even about, it's not about patronage, because I think India has always been about patronage.
Yeah.
You had the royals
Yeah.
patronizing weavers. So that's always sort of been there.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah,
contemporary
yeah.
India has no appreciation of what goes into making something by hand. I also think our craftsmen themselves have sold themselves short. They
Absolutely.
they don't seem to, they don't want to value what they make. Like,
I think with them it's a chicken and egg situation
Yeah.
also, because they don't have money, they need to sell, and that's why they're shortchanging themselves. If they have comfort of
Yeah.
regular income coming in, probably they won't do it.
Probably they won't do. Yeah. So it's very tricky, to sort of approach this. But one, I think a lot more Indians need to be aware of what is made. Also aware in an inherent manner. The problem is that we are all aware in this very patronizing, I buy XYZ from,
Yeah.
these weavers in my state. Yeah, but you're not doing them a favor.
Right.
You're buying it because it's spectacular. Right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah, let's
that
not sympathize. My thing
Yes.
is, let's not sympathize.
more than sympathize, I think they do, I mean, a lot of people in terms of they're very patronizing in terms of like I'm empowering you.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
Yeah.
doing a favor, right?
Favor,
I'm
you
doing a
know.
Favor,
favor.
yes.
doing
Yes.
that.
You're not doing him a favor. You're buying it because you like it. Please buy it if you love it. If you
Love
don't,
it. Yeah.
by all means,
Yeah.
don't buy it. I mean, I totally like there's absolutely, it's like a lot with coffee. Like I really like Starbucks coffee, and all our coffee friends look at me and are like, Starbucks, it's the worst kind of coffee. But I like it, and I'm like, yeah, but I really enjoy the experience. I like that they mispronounce my name no matter what happens, no matter where I am. It's great, it's like this standard sort of Starbucks experience. I like it. I just
The
think that,
experience that you're buying into.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I just think that if a lot more people, one, knew about, the fact that how much it takes, how much craft and skill and art and talent it takes to make something with your hand. Two, if you respect the fact that these are people doing it for a livelihood. Unfortunately, Instagram, which we love dearly, and is the reason why you all probably know of us, or anybody knows of us, also uh, democratizes this a bit too much. So there's everybody there, right? There's somebody who's doing this as a hobby, and needs to put it out in the evening for fun because
Yeah.
she's so
Yeah.
so we are sort of competing with uh, some traditional potter sitting in Madhya Pradesh who really needs the money and the sort of the livelihood, and we are competing with somebody who doesn't really care, is just doing this for a it's like like the whole pottery is therapeutic and meditative.
Yeah.
It is until the
More like
time.
a Instagram friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Hobby
and-
to-
yeah,
Yeah.
and it is until like we keep saying that anybody, we love saying this because a lot of people are like, oh, what a therapeutic meditative craft. It is when it's a
Mhm.
hobby. It
Mhm.
isn't when it's a business.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're chasing deadlines, you're working with nature, so things are going
Yes.
to go wrong for
You need to
sure.
get the finances out. Yes,
Yeah.
that has to.
That's also what I don't
Yes.
think you understand that you have to invoice at the end of the day and money has
Yes.
to come in.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
We're talking money here.
Yeah. So education has to come in, I think, on many fronts. I also think that the pride, and I do think that we are a very proud country, but I think that we also often, the pride sort of also goes all over the place. There's no where do
Communication has to be done correctly.
Yeah.
And it's not just how you're talking about only pottery for that matter. Rohit, this is all across
Yeah.
all
Absolutely.
across industries. If you're talking about especially textiles, how we talk about embroiderers and the artisans, and then we again talk about the bigger brands also show the situation that they're working at. You don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Show that your workers are in good conditions. You don't have to show that they're taking so much of pain to create something. I feel like let's change the narrative.
Yeah,
Just make people feel good about it.
Yeah, like it's
Exactly.
you shouldn't be paying because you're feeling sorry for someone.
Yeah.
I think that there's no need for that. You should be paying because you think that that person is doing an amazing job.
Right.
And also for the fact that that person deserves the money you're giving him.
Absolutely.
Like every summer we'll put up a post about don't buy a matka from us, buy a matka from your local potter in your neighborhood. Most Indian neighborhoods still have a
they do.
local community of potters working somewhere in the city. I'm sure most cities do. Buy it from that person and don't haggle for $10.
I agree. Couldn't agree more.
Just it's one thing, and I mean, we ourselves find it very annoying when somebody says, "Oh, will you give us a discount?" But it's just okay. I understand it if you're asking us. I really do. But if you're asking somebody who's sitting at the side of the road and selling you come on. I mean, come on, just buy. It's okay. I mean, again, being indulgent. वो रईसियत चली गई. I don't know, Shreya, whether how we can translate that maybe for Helen, but like रईसियत चली गई ना, like वो रईसियत चाहिए. 4 ले लो, buy 4 matkas.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. That's the thing. The consumption pattern also has become very streamlined. You have to think when you're buying, why are you buying this? You're not buying it for a brand. You're not buying it for doing a cause here. You're just buying it because you appreciate the beauty of the product. Let's just enjoy that. That's it. So that's it. Enjoy the product, indulge into it, and that's what your luxury is. Let's not associate with a lot of other things. And just take pride in what you're consuming.
Yeah, you don't need to guilt trip everybody into doing everything.
Simple,
Fine.
But we've already touched on this, that okay, we do love our Instagram too dearly, but in these 5-6 years that the brand has been, right, how do you think Instagram and Pinterest, if at all you're all present there, has helped you all to somehow educate the audience, if I may say, at least have they got an aesthetic understanding, okay, let me purchase this, or they appreciate the product or craft?
I'll let Bhairavi rant about Pinterest for like 1 minute before we...
No, so Curators of Clay is not on Pinterest. So we don't put out our stuff there. But the biggest problem with Pinterest is we get lots of people every single day with one Pinterest design and coming to us, can you make this for us?
Oh, okay.
And why are you coming to us? I mean, find out who the person is, go to that person and get it done. Yeah, I mean, even if you want to get it done from that person. So I mean, so Pinterest is a bane and a boon at the same time. I mean,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think same thing with Instagram also. But Instagram has helped us a lot in business because our reach has been organic, and our large part of our business comes from there. And people have been very receptive. Our community is also very interactive, so which is very, very good. And I mean, at the end of the day, you feel that whatever you're putting out, at least people are reading about it, understanding it, and liking it. And playing it.
There is a certain amount of education.
Yeah.
I would say that.
Helping. Yeah, that's helping.
Instagram has been huge for us, personally, because one, it's the only social media thing that we are very active on. Used to be on Facebook. As days went by, Facebook sort of, I don't know, it was an organic way of it just sort of lay by the wayside, and we sort of focused more on Instagram, possibly also because it's a lot more one-to-one. Like I can actually interact with one person on Instagram, and maybe Facebook was a little more wider. So Instagram has been huge in terms of getting us noticed by pretty much anyone and everyone who's currently working with us. Other thing with Instagram, which is something that we've seen the sort of shift is that we also think that I can literally say that there's two audiences on Instagram. There's one audience which is really very, very engaged and involved with everything that they are following. So whether it's Curators of Clay, whether it's a restaurant they're following, they also kind of connect the dots. You know, they are like, oh, okay, so these guys are at Mask, so they are also working with these guys. So, you know, there's a little more, it's a community, it's a little brand.
Yeah.
The visibility also increases, right? That way,
There's a little more discernment in what that person is doing. He's picking and choosing even the connections, right? Like picking and choosing those. There's another, you know, probably a wider community who are just liking anything that they see. And sometimes, I mean, Bhairavi keeps thinking that I take it too personally at times, but sometimes I'll be like, okay, this person has liked us, and look what else he's liked. Oh, she's liked. And I'm like, hey, we're not like, you know, come on, you can't. I mean,
he's right when she's like, you know what, it's okay.
About it, but I'm just like, you can't be liking that and this at the same time. But there's a lot of those who are probably not. In a way, I also envy them because they are not as engaged. You know, their life is not on social media, which is great. Like they're just they're liking something that they see. It's snack in, snack out. Tomorrow there's somebody else. Tomorrow there's a new flavor. There's a new brand. Thing. Our thing is that we would like people to be a little more engaged with us. It's just nicer. I mean, it's. I know it's asking. It is asking a bit much of any audience, but we'd like it. You know, we'd like somebody to be a little more engaged about. Oh, this is where the mug comes from. These are the people who make it. You know, this is how it's made. This is why they like this. This is why they like that. This is why they like that. You know, like, so that's there. I mean, that's something that we would like a little more.
And we kind of know, get to know the person who's bought it also. You know, that your work is at a certain kind of person's house, and you know that person.
But that social media allows you to have that, you know, two-way conversation. That's if used rightly, that's the benefit of social media. Like, you will get to know where your mug is. Like, if it's in my house, and I'll get to know who the creator is.
Also, the feedback is really nice. Then, you know, like somebody once messaged us saying, you know what, your mugs look better after 3 or 4 washes. And it's just right, because you realize what that person is saying, and then, you know, and she had actually shown me, like, see, this is a new one, and this is a 6-month old, and you realize what she was trying to say, because there is a certain certain smoothness that comes with it, a certain familiarity with, you know, the way the person is holding it. It ages well, I think. You know, it's like, I mean, it's like a comfortable pair of jeans. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
they look better after a few washes.
It will look better after a few washes. So you kind of sort of start feeling nice about that. That somebody gives you such a sort of specific, you know, like we never thought of it, right? Like I don't, even we as people who made it and use it every day didn't really think of it. But after that, we really do. Like, every time the mug says, you know, she wasn't wrong. It does, you know, it does a little better. You kind of see something which you've probably not seen a little earlier.
Yeah.
You see a nuance of the glaze where you're like, oh, I had never sort of noticed this. And I think I like that. I like the fact that there's a bit of detail. There's, you know, there's somebody who's that invested, if you were.
Right.
That's the word to use. In a product which, let's face it, it's a mug. I mean, you know, I can make it sound like rocket science, but it's a mug. I just want you to use it as a mug, and I want you to use a really good one. So it's, you know, it's that, like, so it's nice that in that sense.
Definitely, that's what I wanted to understand, that how Instagram as a platform, or even social media for that platform, can help brands to market themselves and you know, reach out to different audience segment which we might not have thought of, right? So it helps you in that direction also.
Yeah, and I think one of the things which we keep saying, when people ask us, especially, people who've just started on Instagram, people who are not that, even we are not really the digital generation. I shouldn't speak about Bhairavi's age and all that, but it's like we're not really in the, we are not what they would call, what's the word? Digital natives.
Yeah.
We all learn, right? Yeah, we're not
We
digital
are a
natives.
generation before
We're a
them.
generation before cassette was. So there's a little bit of analogness which is still existing in us. I think one of the things which we hope a lot more brands will do is just be honest on the damn platform. It's, I mean, I also
Authenticity.
think that this comes from the fact that Bhairavi is an advertising veteran, and I did, film promotions for many years. So after a point, it gets a little boring to sort of see everything which is just so, like everything just incredibly sort of perfect, and they're doing all the right things, and they never make a mistake, and they are, they are saving the planet, and they are, they are empowering women, they are doing everything right. And I'm
Righteous, yeah.
just
No.
no, sometimes I can be rude, and sometimes we're not saving the planet. Sometimes when we use a little bit of extra plastic, and we are not really, we don't, like you said, righteous is
You have to
probably
be original. You have to be original. You cannot maintain that for a long time. And that's why, social media, people say that just be original, and that's what's going to take you a long way.
tires
And if
you
your
out.
brand,
How much will you sort of whitewash
that's true.
every single
Yeah.
thing you do?
Yeah, I think, the thing is, to be honest, as you say, there are too many brands that are out there trying to win the PR battle and basically greenwashing when it comes to sustainability. And, sustainability is at the heart of everything we talk about in our school, but it's about relevant sustainability.
Exactly.
Don't try and plant a tree and save a whale
Yeah.
with every mug you sell, because it's just not real. It feels fake. And actually, if you really think about what's your brand purpose and how you want to enact that, you will find those ways to make things improve and better, because it's the way you work rather than it being a campaign that you've suddenly come up with. So for me, there's an awful lot of that going on, where it's almost a rush to who can be the best, most sustainable. No, that's not true. They've got to actually be real and honest about this. Otherwise, they will be accused of greenwashing. And we're running a very nice workshop about greenwashing, how to spot it in luxury brands. So we'll name and shame, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. And I
Yeah.
just think that, it's exactly what you said, that after a point, speaking about pottery, a lot of people will do this thing of ceramics is organic.
Mm-hmm.
And not really, not really. There's a lot of argument which can, you can debate both sides, and, that's sure. But
There'll always be pros and cons.
yeah, there's always be pros and cons. But the thing is, some of the things you just have to be honest. For example, a glass mug is not going to biodegrade the way, maybe like a terracotta mug will biodegrade. The fact that you find pottery shards from, I don't know, from when Jesus was around, kind of shows that it's not really that,
Yeah.
there's what I mean to say is that there's nuance, and unfortunately social media has left no room for any sort of nuance. So it's either you're sustainable, otherwise you're just terrible. You're the one responsible for slaughtering the whales.
There's no gray area.
No.
But it cannot be black or white. There has to be a gray area. I agree.
We can't have green extremism. It just doesn't work for anybody.
Yeah, and and my thing will be, buy a mug and use it for as long as you can. That alone will reduce some amount of impact. We'll do something damn simple. We've also realized that, like you said, it doesn't have to be a campaign. We make no packaging. Like we don't produce any packaging at Curators of Clay, with branded packaging, because there's a lot of it out there which we can use.
Yeah.
But somehow that doesn't seem to count.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from. Yes.
You need to publish labels which will say seven
No,
things
if
underneath.
we had printed a nice packaging and written that this is made from recycled paper, it would have counted, but using recycled box doesn't count.
It doesn't count. I mean, just
Except it's a reuse. And, one of the biggest problems and the reason I think you are very sustainable in many, many ways is you don't produce massive volumes of product.
yes,
And that's one of the biggest challenges in terms
I
of
agree.
sustainability, because you produce so much, some won't be sold. You're taking all of that resource to actually produce it, whether that's electric, heat, light, power, water, whatever it might be, and the resource. And then what happens with it? The pricing goes down. So the value of that resource is being taken down as well. So for me, anything which is about high volume is a problem. And that cannot be sustainable. I put a post out on LinkedIn today saying fast fashion, they were trying to greenwash with something, one collection in 1,000 SKUs in a month. In a month.
Count. You can't find it.
It's like so lost, but they're making a big claim of this. No, that's not the thing. It's about their volume that's the problem.
Yeah.
And like, for instance, we'd really like more people to buy our work in and around Pune.
Yeah.
Because we just feel that there are lots of people in and around Pune. There's, rather than having to, I mean, nothing gives me more pleasure than somebody from some really, really, way off place, sending us a DM saying, hey, I am in XYZ. I don't know whether, things come here, but can you try and send us a mug? Personally, it's great joy and, whatever, you feel really good about it. But I also understand that then that mug is not being very friendly, right? Because if I'm sending a country, and okay, I'm sending one mug, but somebody who's in thousands, it's not being very friendly to the world. So we really like it that if people, this whole sort of local community, and of course local, because of advances in in transport technology, all of that, local is a little wider now. We don't have to think about our village that we are in. The village is a little bigger, but it would be nice if more people just bought us in around closer to where we are. It'll be nice if people came to the studio and bought stuff directly from here again, purely because, well, one, it saves us the ulcers of shipping. Like, honestly, shipping ceramics is like nerve-wracking. Because I'm thinking, if it breaks. One of the things is that if a Curators of Clay product is broken in transit, we'll replace it with no questions asked. Because I think the responsibility of getting it safely to you is mine. It really is. And so for us, we're very clear about it. If there's a chipped plate, all you need to tell me is that it's a chipped plate and I'll replace it. Now, there's people, we've had people who have been really nice and said, no, it's fine, it's okay, we understand it. Because the problem there is that if we've made only 50 plates, and if yours is the 50th plate, I might not have the exact one to replace it. Then I will make something else, and we'll make something else, and we'll send you something else. But the thing is that, like you said, there's just small things that we'd like to do, which, put us in the sort of people who are pleasant to the planet. I don't think we're the planet, honestly.
I think it's
Well, certainly.
do anything in that sense drastically.
Yeah, Bhairavi thinks it's too late. I agree, and I'm just thinking, while we're here, we live well. We'll sort of
and reduce your impact.
Reduce your impact,
Yes, it's about person, actually. It's not about expecting others to do it. And I do think that localism and luxury have become much more prevalent, particularly during the pandemic, where people are looking at things that are closer to home, and that makes it the opportunity now to really build that respect for local craft and local luxury production like that. But equally, I will be bringing a large suitcase when I come over to India.
You're more than welcome.
Helen is planning to visit sometime in the month of
maybe August, maybe September. We'll see.
Oh, perfect. It's a great time. Please visit us because
I'm going to be there for a month, so I've got a nice long list.
Excellent. So you can come anytime you want.
Thank you.
So, as we understand how sustainability is part of Curators of Clay, the way the brand accepts it. I just want to understand from the journey that we've had so far, for the brand, what is it that your piece of advice would be for our entrepreneurs who are looking at um, getting into the luxury field, or even taking their brand ahead? What is the one piece of advice that you learned so far? I'm sure there are many, but you could pick maybe one.
Being true to yourself and putting yourself out there, in your work, and not compromising on quality at all, or not taking any shortcuts. The path may be longer, even it has been longer for us, because we didn't compromise on getting stuff done from other people and passing off as our work or anything like that. I mean, it took time for us, but it has paid off in
Right.
terms of the kind of brand that we've created. And also now when people buy Curators of Clay, they know that it's made in this studio by one of us, and that's what adds value to the product also. So I would say that take your time, be honest to yourself, true to yourself, and go ahead and do it.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Also, I think luxury, like we said earlier, it's an indulgence, right?
Yeah.
So to me, the indulgence starts with you. If you're approaching your brand with, I want to make X amount of money is really important. Ask us, we should.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if you're approaching it with the sense of, uh, oh, I need X amount of money in X amount of time in I don't even think that's luxury then, because you
Yeah.
need to first give yourself the luxury of making a great product.
Yeah.
Indulging yourself into making what the brand that you want to make. And sometimes that calls for, like Bhairavi said, a longer gestation period. I don't think you can create anything luxurious, whether it's a brand or a product, overnight. I,
Yeah.
I,
Luxury of time. You have to take
yeah,
luxury
Yeah.
of time
Yeah.
I totally think you need to. So
to
you need to
create.
invest the time in
Yes.
it, and I just think one of, like what Bhairavi said, one of the things is to just be brutally honest. It just saves you a lot of trouble later.
I'm
Mhm.
sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I'm not even saying it. I'm not saying it as any sort of,
Yeah, true.
any sort
Yeah.
of moralistic judgmental value. Absolutely not. I just think that being brutally honest for a brand uh, just saves you a certain amount of trouble later. And if you screw up, be honest about that as well. I
Mm.
mean,
Absolutely.
it's really not going to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bhairavi and Rohit. That has been an absolutely amazing conversation. We're so excited that I was very excited to have the brand on board. And this is the reason, Helen, why, because I'm sure we've had a lovely conversation. So, can we have a quick tour of the studio? Because I'm sure everybody would
Yeah.
love to see that.
So what you see, so okay, I'm just going to start from hopefully. No, I'm just hopefully hoping that it sort of the network stays okay through all this. Yeah, you have to walk behind it. So that,
Wow. Huh.
Oh, wow.
so I'm just going to do like a, yeah, otherwise you're going to get dizzy. But I'm starting at the gate, so we can actually give you like a sense of walking through the studio. Are you guys able to see? Because can
Yes.
you?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Super.
All right. So that's Snowy. Snowy is a very big dog. Yeah,
He's not very pleased.
he's not very pleased with life currently. So that the structure you see out here is what we call our in-house studio store.
Mm.
We built it very recently. It's largely a place where we want people to come and experience the product itself.
Mhm.
And we think that it's, so we host a lot of Sunday morning brunches out here where we
Oh, wow.
like people to come in,
Wow.
take a look at the work, also see what I mean, see the studio itself. That's another of the dogs. Yeah, so I'm just going to walk sort of
I love
through.
the amount of nature that you've allowed in around you.
Yes, so one of the big things was to sort of ensure that everything is very open. It has its disadvantages, but I think it kind of outweighs, you know, the sort of the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So that's, I don't know whether you can see it, but those are our
beautiful bougainvilleas.
Yes. We have like 8 varieties at the studio. And what you see now is the actual studio itself. So this is where everything is made. Like every single piece of Curators of Clay is made
beautiful
there. And there's a bunch of people who are sitting around doing nothing out here, but we'll right. So this is where the studio sort of, this is where the work happens.
Nice.
So this is what luxury looks like when it's at work. It's dusty and it's hot and it's but this is
beautiful.
So these are the Yep, and just going to peek you all through. I don't know whether you all can see them.
Yeah.
But we've got some stuff on our shelves. I think the light's a little off because light's coming in from the other side. But these are the ready things on the shelf. And that's somebody making coffee. And those are our kilns. I don't know whether you can.
Yes, we can have a look at it. Yes.
So that's the big kiln. That's the small kiln. And the small kiln is currently being loaded as we speak. And these are some of the products which are ready. Again, I don't know whether you can.
Yeah, we can see.
So yeah, so that's the studio.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful, yes, Rohit. Thank you so much for taking us.
I hope that I mean that must have been a little off, but okay. I mean,
no, it's lovely. It's great to see the reality of where things are made, and the truth is there are no tidy workshops that are really great.
Yes, so
have action.
We would like to believe that there are no tidy workshops. We try to keep them tidy, but it is what it is. Yeah.
There's a difference between chaotic and organized chaos. That's great.
Yes. So, also, I mean, you are working with clay. You are working with so that's it's going to be what it is.
Yeah. No, you've got a beautiful space there. I'm very envious.
You should come and visit us, Helen, and of
I
course,
will.
much closer. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm looking at visiting Bombay next week, in fact. So let me see if I can touch down for sure.
100%.
Sunday brunches, that's what
she's there. Food, absolutely.
Yes, food.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I have to say that you're probably one of the happiest brands I've ever interviewed. It's amazing. It's so lovely. I mean, beautiful. You are what I would definitely classify as good souls. You have an awareness of your role.
Thank you.
And your impact in the whole of the ecosystem that you're part of there. And I think, as Shreya says, that really does come through in everything that you produce, and the tone that you have as a brand, I think, is absolutely beautiful. I love the way that you look at employing well, and that you bring only good vibrations in. That's great, because that comes through in the product very much when you're making something, particularly in clay, I think. I think the restaurant customer opportunity was really fortuitous, but it's great to know that restaurants are willing to see the good in this, and that it's not all about the pound or the rupee that they're having to pay, but actually the where it's coming from, and keep on with that whole idea of the process, the producers, the product, the provenance, all of those things really matter. So absolutely beautiful. So thank you very much. Thank you. And we will be in touch, I'm sure, when it comes to Sunday brunches.
For sure.
And
We look
hope
forward
to
to
see
seeing
you,
you. Yeah, both of you.